Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, Cyril Gerald Quinn, recording this, of course, on a Thursday, day after another just fantastic episode of season 6, episode 4 of Snowfall. This episode was, of course, titled Projects. Boy, got a lot to get to. It was a busy, busy episode. Um, Themes, the heat is on. Remember that song? The heat is on. Oh, classic 80s song. Yeah, so the pressure has increased yet for all of our characters from Franklin to Teddy to Kane uh, to of course Teddy Mack to Leon Gustavo. So everybody is feeling it. Everybody, you see Franklin snap on Cassandra as they fail to retrieve his money. You see, even the KGB, Ruben's feeling it with his people put pressure on him, and you see what happens with Kane and Franklin as they are under siege as well. So everybody's feeling it. Everybody's under the gun, figuratively and literally, as we saw over the course of this episode, and that pressure will only increase as the season goes along. We are through, of course, 4 episodes, just 6 remaining, which is very, very hard to believe. We begin with the deep dive. The projects are mine. And I put a question mark. Of course, we are talking about the fight between Leon and Dion that took place at the end of the show. This was something that was building up over the course of the episode. Leon was not, even going back to last episode, really last episode, this was building up. You remember Big Dion says, hey, we're good as long as you stay in your lane, we're good. So he doesn't see Leon as any particular threat. And we come to find out that he views Leon as he viewed Leon. Certainly he doesn't think that now after that ass whooping, but he viewed Leon as weak, running away from his peoples, to go to Africa and what have you. And just, I mean, he came at Leon basically the entire episode, taunting him with the whole, Malcolm X thing. He just, of course, he went way overboard with what the stuff that he was saying to Wanda, saying she was a community pussy, and basically how many times he had knocked that off, and so on and so on. So you knew that this was like this was going to happen. But the thing that put it over the top was the fact that Leon was not happy that the park lights, that the lights were being shot out where the kids, where the kids had, if you want to call that a playground. And the ironic thing about that is Leon used to do the same shit when he was running it a couple seasons, like in season 4, when they got those Uzis from Avi. But of course, this is the new Leon. Leon is not about that as far as from that standpoint of wanting to perpetuate violence and what have you. He's trying to uplift and build the community up. And Dion says, hey, I need, I'm doing this strategy because I don't want the cops to see our peoples, and we have, kind of lookouts and things of that nature. The cops are easy to spot with those lights. So Dion, of course, shoots the lights out, and that's of course when that's of course led to the fight. Well, that was the tip of the iceberg at that point. I thought even it didn't matter what was going to happen. It didn't matter even if that didn't happen. They were going to fight. Like Leon was done at this point. He was just ready. He had just had enough, which is just pent up frustration about not only the projects, but just about Dion personally, but just the projects in general. They fight. Leon ends up getting the better of him. And then, again, I give him credit. This scene was realistic because I'm thinking I'm thinking if they're going to fight, then Leon definitely is going to win. There was no question in my mind that Leon's going to win, and that's going to get Leon probably back in the game. Which I don't think is going. Like I said in the previous episode, I don't think it's going to end well for Leon being back in the game. But the fight was very well choreographed, and it was realistic. It wasn't nothing crazy. Like, you would think that Leon is not supposed to beat Dion, but hey, remember Leon has been in prison before. It was one of those situations where Dion kind of let down his guard, got punched in the nuts, and that basically was it. So Leon reclaims the projects at the end. He says, "This shit is mine," and walks away. And there are a lot of questions coming out of this. Um, that I would have. Number one, is Leon all the way back in? Like, is he has he now completely done a 180? Now, there's a scene that he and Wanda had that we'll talk about. I might as well step on it right now. That basically he said everything that I was doing, trying to do, and thinking about trying to do, basically has is not it's not working. And look at this. Look at this current situation. So that gave you an indication that he was leaning towards possibly going back to to his old ways to go and join possibly joining Franklin and get into this war. That was the first hint of that. With that scene with he and Wanda had. I just wonder, like, what is the dynamic going to be with him and Big Dion moving forward? Like, is Dion going to work for somebody? Does Dion respect him enough to be a number two again? Um, that I'm very interested to see how this plays out. Now, the people in the projects probably will fall in line with Leon, but Dion, Leon was basically gone for a long time. I mean, there has to be I'm sure there'll be a couple of guys that if there is a battle between he and Leon for supremacy in the project, I'm sure there's going to be a couple guys that would go towards Big Dion's favor or direction, or go or side with Dion. They don't really have enough time for a Leon Dion war. To be honest with you, there's too many other storylines are um, that are frankly just more important. So I think more than likely, you'll see Dion kind of fall back. Um, I'm sure he has Leon's respect now, like completely has Leon respect. Just, I mean, first of all, he never thought. If you remember going back a couple seasons ago, he told Leon, leapfrog. So he never thought Leon even. I don't think he's ever thought that Leon had the heart to fight him one like mano a mano. So from just that alone, he has Leon has his respect. But more importantly, what does this look like for Leon and Wanda moving forward? Wanda wants out of the projects. In a scene that she had with uh with Franklin's mother, which by the way she almost got shot. Having Franklin's mother, Sissy almost shot her before she recognized who it was. She basically said, I can't stay there any longer. Like I can't. That it's too much. It's basically triggering to her, and there's a possibility that she would get back on the rock if she stayed there for an extended period of time. So, if Leon does what I think he's going to do, um, they're going to be stuck in the projects. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Leon try to reclaim the projects as he's done and try to build it up. I don't think immediately you're going to have him jump into this war with Franklin Jerome and Louis. I think he's going to try to build this thing up, build the projects up from a standpoint of trying to do some good things. And he's working with the young boy who's a genius and wants to try to get him to college, so he has that going for him. But that's not going. We know that's not going to last. We know that is not the end game. That's not going to be how this season plays out for Leon. Leon eventually is going to be right in the middle, in the thick of this war. I remember what Franklin told him in the last episode, like, you either got to make a choice or get the fuck out. That's basically one of the choices that Franklin said to the alternatives that Franklin gave to Leon. And Franklin was 1,000% right from that standpoint. So I think eventually this was the way that they wanted to get Leon back in. And again, this is definitely metaphoric for you know how difficult it is for African Americans to be in these type of situations and to get out. Like, they want out, but the projects, the hoods, how difficult to get out of an environment that is so run down, that chases you, that can possibly hold you down. Like you can be an absolute product of your environment. And yeah, can you get out? Can we've seen cases, we've seen stories, athletes, entertainers, we've seen people in general, non celebrities get out. We've seen that happen. We've heard stories, but the majority of them don't get are not able to get out. That's just the reality of the situation. And it doesn't end well. We see the poverty, we see the violence, we see just what the surroundings are doing to the community in these projects, and there are projects like that all over the country, and uh, I think they was definitely trying to send that type of message as well. Even the young boy who wants to go to college, like this guy who has the brain to go to college and has the smarts to go to college, but is being pulled in from say Big Dion. Big Dion telling him like, "Hey, what you want to go to college for?" It's like you can make more money and you smarter than the professors who are supposed to be teaching you. So what is what's the end game for you? That I mean, these are decisions that a lot of these young people face every single day, trying to get out of that environment. So yes, Leon is back in the projects, but he really wants to get out. He may be back from a standpoint of he had to stand up and take out Big Dion, but his heart is not in the projects. His heart is not in it. So physically he may be back, but mentally, I don't think he's all the way back into wanting to rejoin that lifestyle. But great scene. It perfectly and that was a perfect way to end the show, them with that fight, because everything had been building up leading to that. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens with Leon and that dynamic of that particular relationship. We're not got to the MVP yet. We so all right, best scenes, then we'll get to the MVP. Best scenes, Wanda Leon, we kind of discussed that. Leon's kind of having second thoughts about his purpose there, or or is he meeting his purpose? Is he making a difference? Starting to get frustrated from that standpoint, seeing what's going on. Um, as Wanda's being insulted by Big Dion and a number of his guys. This was like a couple scenes before the fight, so you have them going through this together. Again, this was the first sign that Leon was like going to probably go in a different direction and not completely fulfilled his mission of wanting to turn this thing around. Ruben Gustavo, so Gustavo gets in an argument with his girlfriend. He goes to a bar, gets drunk. Ruben, who had been under pressure after a failed mission by the KGB that was at the hands of course, Teddy McDonald and his peoples, he's under the gun to make something happen to make something happen in regards to getting Teddy into a warehouse and capturing Teddy. So Ruben basically says, "Hey, you know who I am. I know who you are." Gustavo recognizes him from the wedding. Ruben tells him like Ruben basically says, "We need you to double cross Teddy, have him in a warehouse with his drugs. You have 24 hours to make a choice. We know that you're working. Um, we know who you're working with. We know that we know that you're working with the CIA and DEA. So you have nowhere to run. Which Gustavo has nowhere to run. He's caught trapped in a corner. He's going to have to give somebody something. Both, and the thing that's going to be wild about this is both the DEA and Ruben want the same thing. They want Teddy Mack in a warehouse with drugs. So Gustavo is under the pressure to betray Teddy Mack and have him come up in nowhere and have him be in the warehouse with the drugs. Ruben, of course, gives Gustavo 24 hours, and out of all the characters, I mean, is neck and neck between who's under more pressure, Franklin or Gustavo. They are both. I would still lean towards Franklin because he is a kingpin, but Gustavo is if is one Gustavo is 1A. I mean, he is under a tremendous amount of pressure. And Ruben does offer him says, "Hey, we can take care of your family, so on and so on." Um, but and he also says that Teddy Mack. He tells Gustavo that Teddy Mack is still working with the CIA. That you don't believe that he is out of the CIA and what have you. So a lot came out of that scene. Excellent scene in terms of how it started out playful and Ruben's there's just two seemingly drunk guys talking shit. It switched when Ruben starts talking about the CIA and all that stuff, and you see body language change. Great scene by both actors in that particular in the bar in that particular scene. Franklin Kane, very fascinating scene this was because so to set this up, even if we go before this scene, so Franklin uh basically says, "Hey, is under the gun with money. We know the product is he is able to deduce that Kane's product is not moving fast. So he basically says, Kane, let me in the cookhouse. Like let me in the cookhouse. Let me see what's going on. He sees that they're fucking around in the cookhouse. Remember, Franklin learned how to cook back in season 2, so he know he is that's right up in his wheelhouse. It's been a couple seasons since that, but he's desperate, so he's willing to do anything to make more money, and what have you. So he he goes to the cookhouse, sees that the young boys are messing around. He burns one of the young boys' faces, named Todd, which is Kane, one of Kane's guys. They have they meet up, Franklin and Kane, and get into this argument about basically about Kane is not happy that Franklin took the initiative to put hands on Todd, even though he had permission from Todd to not Todd, he had permission from Kane to get things in order or to look at the cookhouse. So they're going back and forth. While this is happening, of course, Todd goes and betrays Kane and goes to Jerome and Louis and gives up Kane's location. So next thing you know, Franklin and Kane, as they're in the midst of this argument, uh, next thing you know, are dodging bullets. They not only are able to escape, they killed Todd and a couple of his guys. They worked very well together in unison as Kane, like it's seemingly like this has happened before against Kane. He had shotguns and handguns in the kitchen, and they were able to work well together and take out everybody and get and go and make their way in the getaway car, which was perfectly executed in terms of how to get away. I wonder about this relationship because I don't think deep down that these two guys, these are like two super alpha males, and it's only like their personalities, their egos are just too big for them to be working together this closely. I don't think this is going to work out. Like I'm predicting some type of betrayal from Franklin or Kane. One of them is going to betray each other. I just don't see like these. They're too they are too much into themselves, and they are like I can't see this partner. I can't see a partnership with these two. I can't. Even Kane was like, "Don't think we all buddy buddy now." Because Kane still wants Louis. Kane still wants Louis and Franklin, not Louis and Franklin, Louis and Jerome dead, and that's still hanging over. He's still putting that on Franklin to get that done, and neither one of these guys really wants to take orders from anybody. That's the bottom line. Like this, it's like having two generals in the same room. That's not going to turn out well. You have, that's why it's only a general is singular, not plural. You're gonna have one general calling the shots. So I don't see this working out long term. I just don't. Now they did work well together in order to get out to get out that situation. But you knew that one of them was going to get killed. But long term, I don't. I just don't see this being a partnership that lasts the entire season. Episode MVP. This was a very difficult episode to come up with an MVP. Now you always have some good performances, but no particular character kind of stood out from a standpoint. I guess Ruben could have been an MVP because the actor who played Ruben was tremendous in that scene. He was great in that scene. But I guess I will split it between Franklin and Kane being able to get out the cookout, get out that shootout, and escape harm's way. And even that scene was kind of hilarious too. Those two arguing, they were arguing like they were arguing just like some high school kids. To be honest with you, it was so funny how like when Franklin gets angry, Franklin was angry like the whole episode. The whole episode, Franklin was pissed off at something. It started from start to finish. He was not happy. He wasn't happy with at the cookhouse. He wasn't happy with Cassandra and her daughter. He wasn't happy the whole episode. It is a angry Franklin Saint episode to say the least. So if I'm going to give anybody MVP, I'll split it up between Franklin and Kane. So in terms of predictions for next episode, you're gonna get a big warehouse scene with Teddy, the DEA, CIA. Every that you definitely get that next week. There's also you didn't get a lot of Jerome and Louis this episode, but their presence definitely was felt. I think you're gonna get I think you'll see more of them in next episode, and you will see you will see again the fallout from the big Dion Leon fight. Where direction is Leon headed in exactly? Trying to navigate um, being now the leader of the projects once again. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. This podcast will be up later on this evening. I also have some clips coming from last night's episode in regards to John Moran and Chris Rock and what have you. So clips I'll be posting. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you next time.